It is 7:43 in the morning.
You have 17 minutes before you need to leave, and your toddler is on the floor, screaming, because the sock has a seam, not a sharp seam, not a broken seam, a seam that has always been there. The same sock they wore last Tuesday without a single complaint. But this morning, this specific morning, that seam is the end of the world. And you are standing there holding a backup sock, a third sock, every sock you own, thinking, we do this every single day. Why is every single morning a war? Why does getting dressed feel like a negotiation with someone who has no interest in negotiating? You have tried everything. You bought the seamless socks. You let them choose the outfit. You gave them a warning. You made it a game. You made it a race. You made it a song. And some mornings it works. And some mornings, the exact same strategy fails completely. And you leave the house either 20 minutes late or feeling like a bad parent or both. I need you to hear something before tomorrow morning. The war is not about the clothes. Before the science. This. You are not the only parent doing a full outfit negotiation at 7 a.m. You are not the only one who owns 4 different sock brands because one pair caused a breakdown. You are not the only one who has turned inside out every single tag in your child's wardrobe with a pair of scissors at midnight. The message you have received is that this is a phase, that you are giving in too much, that other children just get dressed. Here is what nobody tells you. Some children's nervous systems experience clothing differently. Not dramatically, not for attention, differently. The tag that you cannot feel is genuinely sending a distress signal to their brain. The seam that looks normal is registering as physical discomfort that a 2 or 3-year-old has no language for. They are not making it up. They cannot turn it off. And the morning war is their nervous system telling you something real, in the only language it currently has. The human nervous system processes sensory information through a system called sensory integration, a term developed by Dr. Jean Ayres at USC, whose research on how the brain organizes sensory input became the foundation of pediatric occupational therapy worldwide. In a fully regulated sensory system, the brain receives information from the body: touch, texture, pressure, temperature, filters it, prioritizes it, and sends back a proportionate response. A tag feels mild, a seam is background noise. Getting dressed is neutral. But research from Dr. Lucy Jane Miller at the Star Institute shows that approximately 1 in 6 children experiences sensory processing differences, meaning their nervous system's filter is calibrated differently. Not broken, differently. For these children, the tag is not background noise. It is foreground. It is loud. It is persistent. It competes with everything else their brain is trying to do. Dr. Temple Grandin, whose own sensory processing differences made her one of the world's most important voices on sensory science, describes it this way. Imagine wearing a shirt made of sandpaper. Now try to focus on getting ready for school. That is not drama. That is neurology. And here is the piece that explains the inconsistency. The same seam on Tuesday and Thursday. Research from the Star Institute shows that sensory tolerance is not fixed. It fluctuates based on sleep, hunger, stress, emotional state, and accumulated sensory load. A child who handled the seam on Tuesday was operating from a regulated baseline. The same child who cannot handle it Thursday woke up already carrying more. Their sensory threshold is lower. The seam did not change. Their capacity to filter it did. This is why the same strategy works one morning and fails the next, because you are not dealing with a behavior problem. You are dealing with a nervous system that has a variable threshold, and some mornings the cup is already fuller than others. Pillar 1. The sensory audit. The first pillar is information gathering. Before you can change the morning routine, you need to know what you are actually dealing with. The sensory audit is simple. For 1 week, notice and note 3 things. Which specific textures cause the most distress? Tags, seams, tight waistbands, certain fabrics, socks with any texture at all. Which mornings are hardest? Is there a pattern? After poor sleep? After a big day? After illness? What calms the nervous system fastest? Deep pressure, a tight hug, heavy blanket, firm squeeze. or light touch, or space. Every nervous system is different. Dr. Miller's research shows that parents who understand their child's specific sensory profile reduce morning conflict by identifying the 2 or 3 specific triggers and removing them entirely from the environment, not accommodating them forever, removing them now while the nervous system is still developing its filtering capacity. The one action starting today. Tonight, go through the wardrobe. Remove every item with an internal tag. Turn every seam inside out. Pull out every sock with any texture. Create a morning outfit basket of only confirmed safe clothing. This is not giving in. This is reducing threat signals before the nervous system is even asked to get dressed. Pillar 2. The regulation window. The second pillar is timing. Getting dressed is a sensory demand, and sensory demands land differently depending on the state of the nervous system when the demand arrives. A regulated nervous system, full, rested, calm, can handle the seam. A dysregulated nervous system, hungry, tired, rushed, already overwhelmed by waking up, cannot. Research from the Sensory Processing Disorder Foundation shows that the single most effective change families make to morning routines is moving the highest sensory demand earlier in the sequence, after the nervous system has had time to regulate, rather than first thing. This means breakfast before dressing, 10 minutes of free movement before dressing, a predictable calm sequence before the clothes ever come out. Dr. Shelley Lane at Virginia Commonwealth University found that proprioceptive input, deep pressure, heavy work, movement, before a sensory demand reduces the demand's difficulty significantly. A child who has jumped on the bed, carried something heavy, or done any form of whole body movement before getting dressed is operating from a more regulated baseline. The one action starting today, move getting dressed to after breakfast. Add 2 minutes of any physical movement first. Notice if the morning changes. Pillar 3. The choice. Architecture. The third pillar is control. The same nervous system principle from the dinner table showing up in the wardrobe. A child who has no control over what goes on their body will defend that territory. A child who has genuine structured choice over what goes on their body has nothing to fight about. Not unlimited choice, not what do you want to wear. That creates anxiety. 2 options, both acceptable, both already sensory safe from the Pillar 1 audit. This shirt or this shirt, these socks or these socks. Do you want to put the shirt on first or the trousers? Dr. Stuart Shanker at York University, whose self-regulation research has influenced school systems across Canada and the US, found that children given structured choice in high-stress routines showed measurably lower cortisol responses than children in directive routines, lower stress hormones, because of 2 choices. And one more piece. Involve them in building the safe wardrobe. Take them to choose the seamless socks. Let them feel the fabrics before buying. Give them ownership of the audit. A child who chose the socks is a child with a completely different relationship to the socks in the morning. Tomorrow morning when the war starts before 8 a.m., I want you to remember one thing. The child on the floor is not refusing to cooperate. Their nervous system is sending a signal that it cannot filter, in the only way it knows how, through the only body it has. And you, standing there with 17 minutes and a backup sock, are not failing. You are the person who is about to understand something that will change every morning from this week forward. The tag will not bother them forever. The sensory system is developing. The filtering capacity is growing. The mornings will get easier. But the work you do right now, the safe wardrobe, the regulation window, the structured choice, builds something that lasts longer than the clothing phase. It builds a child who knows their own body, who knows what they need, who knows that their signals are real and worth listening to. That lasts. Do you have a morning war right now? Drop their age and their specific trigger below, tag, seam, sock, waistband, because the pillar that helps most depends on exactly what the nervous system is responding to. At Parenting IQ, we don't raise children, we architect legacies.